there, it's Ashley Corville again with my good friend Sonia.
Hey.
And we are going to be talking about tracking our expenses because I'm a big believer in you can't get to where you want to be if you don't know where you're at.
Right.
And I kind of live my life like that with everything. So I thought it would be a really good task list item for us to say, how do we track expenses? How do we go backwards so we can move forward?
Right.
So we talk a little bit about setting a realistic spending plan.
Right.
Putting our money, based on that. We've talked a lot about that in the last couple of weeks. But really, what's the number one thing that people probably forget when looking at tracking expenses and whatnot? What do you think?
For tracking expenses, they forget about the what if. It's not the tracking the expenses, they kind of know, but it's having that savings first. Okay.
We talked a little bit about we just got finished of the emergencies and there's people who are overly prepared.
Yeah.
And there are people that are maybe they don't even think about it and they're going on, I hope that doesn't happen type of thing.
Yeah. So for tracking expenses, one of the easiest ways is to, however, if you're using your bank statement, if you're using a credit card, is to go through it monthly. And I'm going to go back to my highlighters, get your colors out and figure out how much is on groceries, how much is this, and also look at from month to month to gauge. So for example, I have a family member that in March, I think there's 8 birthdays.
Oh yeah.
It's the 6th, the 16th, the 26th, and the 16th and the 26th, there's 2 birthdays. And then on the 26th, there's 2. So there's a lot. So planning ahead for March, they know March is a big month. Lots of, not to say that they have to spend a lot on the gifts, but the gifts, there's a lot because there's 8 birthdays.
Yeah.
And then I don't believe there's any more birthdays till maybe August.
Yeah.
But you still want to plan for that. And adjust. So that's part of your world. And as for your expenses, is it a true expense? Did you need it or did you want it?
Yeah.
So it's looking at that. And you made the comment, we have to look at what we've done to get where we're going.
Yep.
And then also not only to get where we want to go, but to get where we want to go at the speed we want to. So oftentimes I will get with a client and I'll say, so the things you've purchased or the things you're considering purchasing, what I would like for you to ask yourself is, do I need it? Do I want it?
Yeah.
And if I choose to buy this, is it going to take me to my goal faster? Or is it going to slow the process down?
That's a great way to think about it. So I live my life in 90-day seasons, right? Okay. I don't make any big changes, whether they're working or not for me, because it takes a minute to catch on.
Sure.
Or get the results we want. So I think a good look back period is also 90 days.
Sure.
On average, how much did you spend on groceries over the last 90 days? And then factor in, holidays, special occasions, birthdays, whatnot. What does that look like? Same thing for dining out. Gas, your utility bill, because it's going to vary a little bit from month to month.
Yes.
And so really, what does that look like? And that's what I mean, looking back, look at where you've spent, which is a lot of work to go through bank statements and credit cards for a significant period of time, but it's not that difficult to do 90 days. That's just 3 months.
Yeah, it's just 3 months.
Do that in a couple of hours and then average them out, which is something you really should be thinking about when you're developing the spending plan.
Right.
And then tracking. So you say monthly. What if they run out of money? It's already done. It's already gone. How do they adjust if they just do it monthly?
So that's where you have to look at the plan and go, okay, I've allocated money to go here, 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 and here. So let's say you put $300 in eating out, $200 in gifts, $200 on clothing, and this. Right. However, by the time the month comes, it's coming to the end, you're running a little short. Okay. So there's places that you can give up.
Yeah.
And pull back on. And I don't want, let me rephrase my statement. Not give up, pull back on, because everybody seems to think that when you go on, change your spending plan and things of that nature, well, I have to stop this, stop, and then I don't get to enjoy my life. If you don't enjoy your life, somebody's going to get hurt. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is look and go, okay, instead of $200 in eating out or $300 and $200 on gifts and this, how about we take 50 from each and then make that, let's get through the month. Your first 30 days of changing a spending plan is going to be your hardest because you're just used to spending willy-nilly and throwing it on a credit card, or, the bank will cover it. I'll just pay that bank fee. Yep. Okay. So now you're truly taking a look at what you're spending. Yep. You're admitting what you're doing. And that's a very challenging thing to fully admit what you're doing to yourself, and possibly what you're doing with your spouse, or, some spouses may work out of town and that spouse is trusting you to balance everything. Yeah. So now you would not only have to admit it to yourself, now you have to admit it to the spouse as to where all the money's going.
And it's really easy, out of sight, out of mind. Yes. That's a thing everybody says, because it's true in so many parts of our life. If you don't look at it, then it's not happening. We can do that for a while until you can't.
Until you can't, and it catches up with you. It catches up with you. And so instead of waiting until it's so bad, now you have to explain it to the bank, to the credit card person, to your spouse, your partner, to the children. Instead of letting it get that way, stop, ask for support.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how to do brain surgery. I don't think you do either. No. So we have to ask for support.
Yeah.
So I don't know everything about loans. I would have to ask for support.
Right.
You're not a weak person by asking. A lot of people try to do it. I hear this all the time. I've been trying to do this by myself, and I can't figure it out. Okay, it is just not for some people. A little bit of support and guidance to get you flowing. Let's get that river flowing like you really need it. It's just for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Once you get it flowing and you get it to where you have somebody you can call and go, now you don't need my permission to change your spending plan, but every once in a while my clients will call and say, hey, there's been a little hiccup this month. My kid fell down. And it's not a break, but it's a bad sprain. So we're going to have to pull a little money from, and they kind of feel bad about it. And I'm like, that's why you have the emergency fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, so that's what it's for. Yes. So congratulations, you had it.
Right.
And then they say, well, what do we do? Because they're not used to it.
Yeah.
So you're changing. So they say, okay, we're going to pull the money a little bit, what you need. And then on the next meeting, how are we going to put it back?
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, most people keep doing the same things that they've always done because it's easy.
It's easy.
And growth is hard. And change is incredibly hard, which is why most people don't do it.
Right.
But if you are still tuning into us, you are committed to growing, growing your financial freedom, growing your savings, which is going to require some change.
So I ask like every client or potential client this. By the time they get to where they've called me and we've had a phone conversation or a consultation, that's a lot of will, because they're admitting to a stranger where they've put themselves.
Yeah.
So they've already taken the biggest step.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, once they've done that, now to make the changes. So my question is, how happy are you where you are now? And in 30 days, if you change nothing at all, how happy will you be?
Right.
Well, I'm not happy now. I said, so in 30 days, you're still not going to be happy. Right. So how about we work as a team?
Right.
And we work on some ideas, some thoughts, some changes to get things better in 30 days. Now, some of the changes, you're still not going to be happy. However, in 30 days, most people can see some results depending on how deep things are by the time they get to me.
Yeah.
They can see some can see some great results. Some start to see some small results, but they're seeing results and the stress becomes lighter and lighter.
Then you become happy.
Then you can become happy. And I'll also tell you this. Anybody that has children in the home, they go, oh, my children don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Your babies know. They know. So not only are you stressed, if you're single, you're stressed. If you have a partner, your partner's stressed. And then the entire household feels it.
Yeah.
So not trying to put any blame or shame on anyone, but everybody knows it. So to not make any changes is not the way to do it. The changes are yours. I just bring ideas to the table. I'm on the outside of the box.
Yeah. So we started this in early January, and like I committed to doing the same thing, like working through this week by week and doing things, being really realistic on what can be done, what can't, to like kind of experience a little bit of like, well, what does it look like to make these changes or do this? I've got some goals for 2024 and it's still early enough that I've got plenty of runway to get me to where I want to be. So we've talked about building a spending plan. We've talked about, doing that. This is the required thing of tracking your expenses to see if you're on pace with whatever that goal looks like. Yours is going to be different than mine. Sonya's is different than yours. Like, that's okay. But we have to track to make sure, are we on pace or do we need to make some adjustments? And this will get easier. Like, it absolutely will get easier. When I coach people in my business of how to get to where they're going, they have to know where they're at. They have to track their stuff. So bust out your actual expenses, the times you've slid your cards, your debit card and your credit card. I'm doing it weekly because that's just how I work, and I've got the time and energy for that apparently. But worst case scenario, the expert says monthly sit back and compare actual expenses to your spending plan. Are you in line? Are you being realistic? And have a conversation with you. Am I doing what needs to be done? And if you need help because you are not able to hold yourself accountable or at that limit, then like reach out to us. That is one of the superpowers that Sonya has to help people do this. So like if you are at a place where you realize I've tried to do it on my own, I've tried it before, I can't do it, I need some help, reach out to us, send us a message. All our contact information is below, and we will absolutely walk you through all that. So stay tuned for next week's episode.